Hey guys, what's up? This is Chrision here, and it's time for a new, well, not an enlightenment or anything. This is something different I'm bringing to the channel. So originally when I did this video, I was going to be doing it as a basic celebration of Pokemon Home being released, but due to the pandemic or basic issue that we're dealing with now, I kind of want to make people aware, so I'm kind of using that as the where I'm going with this video. But what this is it's going to be my first attempt at a Pokemon challenge using Pokemon Sword, because I want to see if the challenges are possible in the newer games. And what do I want to bring to this challenge? Well, I'm going to be using a very hard Pokemon to use. This one. Yes, Applin. And here's why. Applin's stats are not that great, but what really hurts it is the fact that it only has 2 moves that it learns by level up. This already makes training Applin a pain in the ass. So if you don't know, Applin can only officially learn 4 moves. So keep this in mind. My playthrough will basically rely on me having these 4 moves. So when it comes to that, the rules basically are laid out as follows. I can only use Applin in battle. There will be some cases where I may have to use a second Applin, but I'll explain that when it happens. Items cannot be used in battle. I personally did not think that this rule is going to last, and there are some issues when they come up, but I will finagle this rule around a little bit. There's also no exploits, no glitches, but I haven't found any that are beneficial to this run, and that's pretty much it. If you like what I'm doing also in this run, please subscribe and let me know. Also, if anybody has suggestions, I can always try other kind of runs in this game as well. But anyways, let's get started. So the first thing I do is I obviously create the character, which we're going to be going with my character with the name Eonic for my channel. And from there, we're basically going through the story. I skip ahead a little bit to where we have to get our starter, because at this point in time, the starter is important because it decides what Hop and what Leon will have. I decided to take Sobble because Leon having Grookey would be easier, plus the fact he already has Charizard, so I don't really want to deal with him having both Cinderace and Charizard. But I wanted Hop to have Cinderace because I felt like if he had that, he at least has some kind of advantage over me. So I did try to cripple myself a little bit. Now the other thing is that you've obviously noticed that I'm getting a Sobble. There is no way for me to get an Applin outside of trading, so I have to take Sobble in the beginning. Obviously I have to also catch another Pokemon so that way I can trade the Sobble and the traded Pokemon to get a Applin that I already raised to level 5 and a fresh egg that also has an Applin in it. Okay. So as the next day, obviously you have to do the event where you have to basically challenge Hop, and there was one important detail I wanted to point out from this video. I did not know you could tell Leon you want to wait. You learn something new every day. And I'm basically about to leave, and Leon says no. Well, fuck you then. I'm in your room now. So obviously I skip ahead to where we basically get the Dynamax bracelet, and the reason why is because that's where you can basically activate the trading, which without that, obviously I can't get the Applins I need. So after I get the band, I am now officially able to trade with my friend who helped out, which my friend, I hope that he's okay with me giving out his name. I did enjoy that. This helped me a lot, because without getting these Applins, this challenge would have never happened. So I do appreciate it. So basically, the first thing I have Mathis do is I make sure I trade over the first trade bait Pokemon, so that way I can get the proper Applin. I need this because if I don't have a Pokemon, I can't trade. So it needs to be the one that I can defend myself with. So obviously I get the Applin that I need, and then after that I have him trade me an egg. The reason I need the egg is I need something that I will properly be able to use that will not deal with, obedience. Because obedience is one thing that does hurt runs like this. If you don't have the Pokemon to be able to listen to you, you will basically never be able to beat this. So the first Applin that we have is named Roxanne. I hope you guys know what the reference to that one is. If you don't, you're not a great Pokemon fans, but this is the Applin that I'll be using until I can hatch the egg. This Applin is good at special attack, but we probably won't get to use it afterwards. I really only wanted to devote myself to one Applin, so I felt that if I used more, it would be a little unfair. Now that I think about it, I probably should have used more, but again, it's how this challenge was. So after this, obviously I go out into the front yard and I decide to just hatch the egg because I need to hatch it quick. So then after this one hatches, I decide to name this one, and I decided to name it after a obvious reference, Michelle, which if you're a wrestling fan, you should know that one, I hope. Alright, and this is our stats. And luckily we got one that has basically no negative or positive stats, because that means at least I know I can balance it to where I want it to be. I don't have to worry about any stats being overgrown. Kind of a benefit. The ability we also got was Gluttony. I don't like it, but I have to use it for the time being. The other thing I make sure to do is I did make sure to adjust its moves, because if you don't know, Withdraw is the first move it has, and all it does is raise your defense. You really want attacking moves for the beginning of the game. So after this, I decided to go fish, because I was trying to think of something that I could fight with this thing, since it's not that strong, and I realized Magikarp, I could fight that. And that's when I also made a mistake. Now the strategies that I have to use for Applin are to basically use Astonish on anything that is not a normal type, or Struggle if it has a normal type on the team. This means I have to go into every fight with it, if they have a normal type, starting their team with Struggle. That is the only way I can beat them, so keep that in mind. So as I basically start fishing, I was looking for a Magikarp, and I forgot that, well, Choodle exists. After beating it though, I was lucky enough to see that my Applin at least got to level 3 that I was trying to raise, so that's a benefit. But yeah, let's move on. I need to get out of this area. So obviously as I move on, I'm basically just trying to progress in the story so that way I can, get to the area I need to be, which I think the wild area would be most useful, but I'm just going through the motions. I'm making sure that I'm also trying to get rid of the move Withdraw, because I feel like that'll get in the way of the Struggle strategy. Another thing I also do is I make sure that the other one doesn't know Withdraw as well for the time being. And then box the Roxanne just because I don't want to use 2 Pokemon at the time. Make sure to also buy a ton of Orange Berries so I can take advantage of Gluttony for the time being, and I go fight. So obviously, as I stated, the first strategy is I'm going to be using Astonish, which what Astonish does is that you hit a Pokemon and cause it to flinch. Applin kind of sucks at that. But from here, you'll see that basically as long as Magikarp can't hit me, I can use Astonish as many times as I want. I'll probably be able to knock it out. The issue I have is that Astonish is not that great of a move. So as I'm basically whittling it down, I get to the point where I've used a butt ton of Astonishes. I'm sure that I have another strategy I could use, but right now that's the only thing I have. The other strategy that I have, as I stated, was the Struggle strategy. Again, Magikarp can't damage me, but I have to use Struggle. Struggle takes 1/4 of your health away. So this is where the berry comes in. If I use 1/4, at least I recover a little bit enough where I can maybe use 5 Struggles. The issue is that if I use that 5th one, I'm going to knock myself out. So you got to keep in mind, both these strategies are my only way of fighting back right now. Now let's introduce the first problem of this playthrough. Rookity. Now the reason I bring Rookity up is because Rookity is a great example of one of the biggest things that Applin is still weak to, which is flying types. And if you don't remember, Hop has a Rookity. This thing eats through my health, and I have so much trouble dealing with this thing just because if I don't kill it in one hit, it's going to knock me out. So it's one of those Pokemon that I have to be very wary of, because if I see it, I have to basically hope I one-shot it. If I don't, it's going to knock me out. And there's a lot of cases where you will see that flying types are my bane right now. So after that, I basically go and customize my character. I just go with the simple stuff I already have. I get rid of that cap and get myself glasses. I just detailed myself, and I begin to go show you the second problem of the game. Yeah, remember how I said Magikarp's the only thing I can beat? Yeah, look what happens when I fight bugs. I shouldn't be afraid of bugs. Bugs are also another thing that Applin is weak to, so I have to be careful of bug types because even bug bite does does a ton of damage to me. So, or struggle bug or whatever. So just keep that in mind. So after this, I decided to move on and just move on to the wild area because if I at least can move on there, I can start farming and get myself some candy that will actually level me up faster. So that way I can start getting more stats and progress to where I feel comfortable. I am also trying to avoid using the camping area because I feel like if he gets friendship, it'll have more luck on my side, and I'm trying not to use that. So from here, when I get in, other than dealing with what's going on in the story progression, there was something I was thinking of trying to do. I need a certain item from the wild area, and it's in a dangerous spot. But basically what I needed is I needed leftovers. So the first thing I basically do is I go for trees. But I also realized something that I forgot. So I used the first tree to test this, and I forgot about Scorpion. So Scorpion, if you remember, I can't damage because it's normal type. So, if I can't run from it, I'm already dealing with the issue that this thing will annoy me every time I pull a tree. So I can only pull a tree about twice before a Scorpion falls out. So this is basically what I had to do for, good 30 minutes of this. By the way, I'm also in the stronger area of the wild area, so if anything sees me, I'm basically one-shottable. So there's a reason why I state that I believe I basically broke the rule by using a polka doll here. But at the same time, I'm in the wild area. I'm not trying to use it on a trainer battle. It's just so I can get out of this, so I can get the leftover that I need. And once I have it, I make sure that Applin has it. And now we're introduced to the next problem that I have. If you know that basically any of the dens you can challenge, the issue is that if the den has a normal Pokemon, I can't do anything to it. So as I go onto the first den, I see that I have a Caterpie in it that I think I can challenge. I should have remembered the first problem I have with the bug types, and even though I Dynamax, I forget that they are strong against me. So I basically watch as I get defeated. By the way, I have never seen this animation before, so when I got beat and I'm cheering people on, I'm like, oh. So this is what it feels like to lose. This challenge is not going to be easy. So basically what we do is I have to just basically wait it out and hopefully that I can beat this thing. But I needed to come up with a different way of challenging this thing. So I thought about something and I decided to take it on as an idea, which was basically I needed to get withdraw back so I can have a coverage move in Dynamax. If I didn't have it, then I couldn't be able to do anything. This was all stuff I was thinking about as I was going, because as long as I had party members who could fight, I think I was good, even though I was the one being knocked out a lot. So yeah, basically from here I just focus on using that and I focus on farming. Now, here's my favorite thing. I did not know that this event still happens if you enter here, which is basically the new DLC event. Island of Armor's coming out soon, so understand that that is another thing people are looking forward to. I forgot, so I said, hey, I will talk to you in a bit. I need to go to the Pokemon Center. So I get withdraw back to make sure that I can fight, and when I come back I decide to play in the event and the Slowpoke. I'm at level 11 right now, so I thought maybe I could challenge it just to see how well Astonish's super effective damage is. Let's just say it didn't go so well, as he basically hits me with an acid and I do that much damage. Yeah, that was a super effective hit. Yeah, I accept that. So after that fiasco, I decided that I'm not going to worry about the Slowpoke right now and decide to continue farming like I was, which basically I go into a fight with the Blitzbug. And like I said, this is where the withdrawal strategy comes back in, which basically all I'm doing is I'm using it as a protect move, max guard if you know. That is basically the only option I have because this thing can one-shot me with its bug buzz. So basically I'm just like, yeah, no, this is not fun for me. But at the same time, this is what I had to do to level up for a little bit, especially since I know I have the Slowpoke that I can test myself to see if I'm strong enough to beat it. Because if I can at least handle that, maybe I can handle some other Pokemon in this game. So as we're going through this, we're basically just trudging through this, and I can't stand this thing. But after it, we finally beat him. And well, yeah, we move on to me repeating what was going to happen, which basically means fighting the Slowpoke again. I wondered if I was able to beat it this time, and I believe I had enough strength to finally knock it out, which was good, especially since I was flinching it a lot. And one thing that helped also was the leftovers. But one thing I gotta mention that I didn't know, you have to catch it. So again, rules broken, sort of. Because in technicality, the slowpoke won't disappear unless you catch it, and I could have ignored it, so that is something why I say it's a sort of. I didn't have to fight him, but just to get it out of the way, because I thought, why not? I just caught it just so that way it's away and it's not being, involved or anything. Which I had a lot of trouble catching, by the way, because this thing was super easy for me to knock out now. But yeah, just remember you have to catch the slowpoke. So if you ever have this thing, just ignore it. So after this, you basically have to deal with the final segment, which is the character leaving, which I don't remember her name, and I just move on to in the story where I get my uniform, as we basically meet Bede, who's not even important, but you get to decide what your number is, and I decided to go with the number that Applin is registered in the Pokedex, which, if you don't know, his number is 840. Yeah, we have 840 Pokemon. That's interesting to think about. So after this, I basically set up where I was just going to the hotel. I do cut out the fact that I did some grinding before I went to go do to fight Team Yell, because I learned very quick they start with a Zigzagoon. If I hadn't have done the struggle strategy, there was no way I was going to beat them. But I also want to mention something about this fight that's really telling about this challenge. As I get into the fight with him, you have to do 2 consecutive fights and then a double battle. With this fight, one of the issues is that I start with the struggle strategy. If you remember, I'm cutting my health every turn. So since I'm cutting my health, I have to make sure I survive 3 battles. And one of them I get healed, which takes away the struggle strategy. So basically what happens during the double battle is that I have to rely on Hop to basically knock out everything. I can knock out the Nickit no problem, but the issue is the fact that if Hop doesn't basically knock out Zigzagoon, I'm basically stuck. So as you probably see, me and Hop basically double team the Nickit because Hop's a dick and doesn't realize that that's the one I can actually hit. And after, repeated attempts, we finally knock out the Nickit. And from here, we basically deal with the fact that I can't do anything. So, yeah, welcome to the challenge where I'm basically screwed if you have a normal type. This is one of the reasons I'm basically labeling the Team Yell as the Great Wall, because whenever these guys show up, they are a fucking brick wall. They cannot be stopped unless I grind higher or then I level up. But you see, I meet another level that's basically another person who's even higher than the Great Wall. Because you think the Great Wall is more irritating? Well then, let's see what happens when you move on in the story. Because as you move on, you obviously have to meet Hop at the bridge. Yeah. Hop starts with a Wooloo. I forgot this, and because I start with the struggle strategy, look how much damage I do to a level 11 versus level 21 fight. So this fight's not going to go my way. Yeah, please be introduced to the Berlin Wall in this case, as Hop basically is being a nuisance because I can't knock out any of his Pokemon without losing half my health. I have to basically go grind. So yeah, no, fuck you, Hop. I go grind up to level 30 now, and now I think that I can handle his Wooloo, and nope. Okay, just going to 100% believe that I can't win this. So I already just go into the motions of basically just defeating what I can. It also doesn't help that Rookity has an ability where neither of us can eat berries, and my ability was built around berries, so it's lucky enough if I eat the berry early, but if I can't eat it during the Rookity fight, then I have to give up. So as I try the 3rd attempt, I make sure I'm level 35 now. And I've also been making sure to fight Shootles to raise my attack EVs because I knew that I need this. So as I'm raising them, I use struggle strategy on these things, which gets my health pretty low, but as I basically one-shot pretty much everything on his team, I get to eat a berry on the Score Bunny fight, and from there I basically knock out Score Bunny. So yeah, no, this fight was very frustrating. After this, we move on, and from here, I had no idea what to do. So as we move on, I run into one trainer that I wanted to show you guys just how difficult a normal Pokemon being on their team is. Her first Pokemon isn't too bad because it's a Purloin, which Purloin has non-effective with Astonish, but I'm still doing good damage. It wasn't until I saw her next Pokemon, Scorvent, and I began to panic because I had, I think, how many? 11 Astonishes, and I had to waste 11 turns just so I could hurt this thing. It couldn't hurt me, but understand that I had to wait 11 turns to hurt this stupid thing. So it's one of the reasons I mentioned that there's two strategies, but I don't know every Pokemon that they're going to have. So if I walk into a battle where a Pokemon or a trainer has a Pokemon that I don't realize is normal, I'm screwed. And a lot of the times this will basically be the fights that you're going to see where I think that I have the advantage and then poof, the advantage dies. So as basically I'm sitting here wasting 11 turns, I get to struggle, and I struggle almost all the way down to where I almost die. So understand that this was a pain in the ass. Now let's move on to Bead. Bead is a definite example of this Pokemon is great against, because Astonish is a one-shot. Other than my level being extremely high, it's Ghost. They're super effective, so, you know, I'm basically one-shotting to two-shotting his Pokemon. From here, this is one of the reasons I'm super happy, because everything else was just being frustrating, and to be able to one-shot one of my rivals, that helped. I was never scared of Bead. Yet. So as we knock him out, he basically just pouts, and I move on to Turf Field, where I deal with Milo and his Wooloo. And one of the things I wanted to mention, when his Wooloo showed up, I panicked. But I remembered that he has grass types, so I decided to go into the battle. And what I did was I decided to go in with the struggle strategy, thinking that would probably work, not realizing that I probably could have fought him with Astonish. So once I realized that, I kind of honestly feel like this battle wasn't worth it. But I just wanted to show you guys just how much I was doing to his two Pokemon that everyone probably just two-shots. So as we basically go in, I choose not to Dynamax, because if you don't know, Dynamaxing actually does heal. And I was relying on the struggle strategy, because if I use Dynamax, it gives me back my PP. I was surprised about this when I learned this. So as I'm going in, I'm realizing as I'm struggling, my health is not exactly the best, and once I'm starting to basically knock out Milo, I realize that, yeah, no, this is unwinnable, so I just accept my fate and I let him knock me out. There's no way for me to win, because I can't do enough damage to him. So I just struggle and kill myself. And basically from there, I go into the second attempt, which is, I didn't think I really needed a second attempt, but it does show that I do want to go in with different strategies to see what they have to offer. So as we go into the second attempt, I go in fully healed, making sure that I have Astonishes, and I go straight for using just Astonish on. And I basically just keep using Astonish, as it just keeps using Rapid Spin. It can't do much damage to me, so I'm not too concerned. But as it gets to Eldegoss, I decide maybe it's time to Dynamax. And I decide to Dynamax to give my Astonish a stronger power, because if you Dynamax, Astonish then becomes Max Phantasm, which has a 90 base power instead of the original 15. So once I realized that, I decided to just go with that and see if that could help me against him. Overgrow doesn't do much damage to me, but as I do Max Phantasm, it has one amazing thing: it lowers their defense. That helps so much, because it means Max Phantasm every turn will do more damage. So as I get down to his final bit of health, I use the last Max Phantasm and it knocks him out. And from there I win the Grass Badge, which helps a lot, because now that I can Grass Badge, I can move on to the next area. So as I basically get Magic leave the uniform and Milo just lets me know, hey, you can leave, I decide to go to cross the bridge and I run into something I didn't think about. They won't challenge me unless I have 2 Pokemon. And then it hit me. There's 2 gyms that are later going to come up that I have to have 2 Pokemon. And I wanted to test this theory, so I made sure I grabbed my other Applin just to see if they would fight me. They do. So I can skip double battles because if I carry 1 Applin, I can't fight them. The issue is that there's going to be 2 gyms that I forgot about that require you to have 2 Pokemon. So this is where I was debating if I should raise 2 Applins or raise 1, but make sure that the other one doesn't get strong enough to where I'm basically overpowered. So if a lot of you think that I probably should have gone with the double Applins, maybe it would have been easier, maybe it would have changed some things, but I feel like that this was much better when it came to balancing, because I felt like if I really was going to beat this, I was going to beat this with 1, and I felt like Michelle could do it. So from here, we basically had to deal with the fact that I had to wait until I could use Struggle to be able to hurt Healophile, because obviously it's a normal type if you don't know. Most people forget it's a normal type because it's normal electric. But as you see, I'm just basically healing because it can't really do damage to me. I'm a grass dragon, so, yeah. But after I beat it, it basically just turns into a fight of when I use Struggle, you're done. So yeah, just remember, double battles are going to be hard. And that's when I get to the bridge. Once we get to the bridge, I realize what mistake I have made because the Great Walls come back. And something I didn't realize when I was playing this beforehand, I didn't realize how many times you had to fight Team Yell with consecutive battles. Obviously we knocked them out no problem, but when your strategy is to struggle against them, and they have 3 Pokemon, it's very difficult to use a struggle strategy on this thing when you can barely even get past his first Thievul. So yeah, this is where a lot of my problems come in. And basically from here I had to keep consecutively fighting them as I kept grinding to get stronger. I'm now at level 40, and from here what basically decided if I could beat them or not, if I could one-shot Zigzagoon. And Zigzagoon does not hit me with Baby Doll Eyes. If he does, I'm basically not going to be able to win. Another thing I realized also while I was playing, I didn't know about the berries that can heal you almost half your health but cause confusion. Something I didn't know was the fact that the nature that I got makes me immune from the confusion. So I had the endless supply of berries with these things. And it does help in the struggle strategy because I heal almost half my health, which is something that Applin does succeed at. From here, basically, I keep going into this fight repeatedly over and over and over again, but same results over and over. And I also will mention that from here, this is kind of where I have to end it because I kind of don't have a certain piece of the footage that I need, as I wanted to show you basically how hard it was for me to beat these guys. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is that the next episode I put up is going to be the part 2 of this, and because it's pretty long, I have like almost I think 7-8 hours of footage. So yeah, I'm going to be trying to condense that all down, and I'm trying to make sure I get this all out, especially with my new work schedule. But yeah, I hope you guys like this, and I hope you guys enjoy what I was making for you guys. If you guys want more of this Applin challenge, just let me know. I will show you guys what I went through and what hell it is to just raise 1 Applin. Alright, continue being a Neon Star, we never stop going.